This problem says, a man travels to work with an average speed of 30 miles per hour. He returns home with an average speed of 20 miles per hour due to traffic. If the round trip took an hour, how far is work? Let's write down what we know in this problem. So when he's going from home to work, he traveled at 30 miles per hour. And then on the way back, he traveled with an average speed of 20 miles per hour. We don't know how far apart they are right now. That's what we want to know. So I'll call that x for the distance, x miles. And then we know one other piece of information. We know that the total time, I'll just call that t total, was just 1 hour. So on the way from home to work and work to home, if you add up the total time, it's just 1 hour. So let's see if we can use this to solve for how far apart work and home are. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the time that it takes to go from home to work. I'll call that t1. And find the time that it takes to go from work to home, t2. And hopefully, if we find out what t1 and t2 are, we can add them up and set them equal to 1 hour, and that'll help us solve for x. So let's do that. Let's find the time that it takes to go from home to work. So let's have the equation. D equals s times t1. So our distance is x, because I don't know how far apart home and work are. But our average speed was just 30 miles per hour. 30, let me make some space, mph. And we multiply that by t1, because I want to know what that time was. So this is divided by 30. And if you do all that, you'll get that t1, the time that it takes to go from home to work, is just x divided by 30. And this will have units of hours, because we divided the miles by the miles per hour. So this has units of hours. Now let's find the time that it takes to go from work back to home. In other words, t2. So I'll set that up. The distance is once again x, and this time is equal to 20 miles per hour times t2. So this is divided by 20 now. And this time, we're going to get that t2 is going to be equal to x over 20 hours. And now what can we do with t1 and t2? We know that the total time is 1 hour, so I can just add up t1 and t2 and set it equal to 1 hour, and that'll help us solve for x. So let me go ahead and do that. So first, I'll write down t1 plus t2 equals t total, just so we're clear here. And now just fill in numbers. t1 was x over 30 hours. And then t2 was just x over 20 hours. And then the total time was just 1 hour. So to solve from here, I'm just going to factor x from the x over 30 and x over 20. So I can factor an x out to get 1 over 30 plus 1 over 20. And that's equal to 1 hour. And then now we can just do 1 over 30 plus 1 over 20. That is just 0.0833 if you do that. 0.0833. And then just divide by that, 0.0833. And now if you do this math, you'll get that x is equal to 1 divided by 0.0833. And if you do that, that's 12. And the units on this are going to be in miles, because we used miles in this problem consistently. So home and work are 12 miles apart.